Scientists do not usually talk much of consciousness. Although it is one of the features that usually distinguish enlistment when other beings intricately define or explain it, it is not something observable and much less measurable, is a maze that few dare to explore from science. What is undeniable is that consciousness exists, and as well as dark matter or energy can be used to explain some theoretical gaps in our current physical model. Although this is still at the Max Tegmark MIT realm of speculation, cosmologists and theoretical physicists proposed that as matter exists in liquid, solid and gaseous state, consciousness might have a physical manifestation that enables process certain information that shapes our subjectivity. Physics and chemistry, studying different states of matter, they discovered that their behaviors were not as dependent on the type of atoms that made up their pattern as they had hoped to be. To Tegmark, consciousness can be understood as another state of matter that can act in many ways like the whole variety of liquids that exist, and that could identify their general characteristics. Broadly speaking, he proposed that can be interpreted as a mathematical pattern that results from a number of conditions that shape different types of consciousness. Discover what circumstances different types of consciousness would help us define differences and similarities between animals, humans and computers are developed. This work was based on the theory of integrated information neurosurgeon Giulio Tamnani of the University of Wisconsin. Fromm agrees with this. To see that something is conscious, need two elements. First, ability to store, process and recall vast pieces of information. Second, that such information constitute a whole and indivisible result. Thus consciousness in a being would have to be composed of information that cannot function independently or be separated. In an interview with the New York Times, Tamnani assumes that some simple devices could have some flashes of consciousness, which does not involve a smaller complex system, but units that called phi, used to measure the degree of consciousness. Tegmark, to resume work Tamnani, divided consciousness into two states of matter, the computronium, which would be the storage capacity and processing information, and perceptronium, which includes all the above plus the condition of functioning as an indivisible whole. It identified the 5 basic principles that could be used to distinguish matter in awareness of other physical forms of matter: information, integration, independence, dynamics and principles of utility. The big problem is that there is no reliable way to measure this. Other attempts to point to this path are groups seeking to transfer human consciousness into artificial bodies, or explanations of a group of Swiss physicists suggests that consciousness exists in tiny temporary lapsos separated by milliseconds. In any case, as suggested by Matthew Davidson from Monash University in Australia, we do not know much about consciousness, but becomes increasingly evident that we should start thinking about it away from the borders of the human.